The shuttle bay exploded into chaos as the Corvin Death Squad breached the outer hull. Alarms screamed through the diplomatic vessel while purple blood sprayed across white walls. Princess Balara of the Zorath Empire grabbed her ceremonial blade, but her human husband was faster. "Stay behind me," Kyle Harrison said, his voice calm as stone. Valara wanted to laugh. She had married this human as part of a political alliance between Earth and Zorath. 3 months of watching him smile at boring dinners and bow to her father's insults. 3 months of wondering if her people were right, that humans were soft, weak things who hid behind treaties instead of honor. The Corvins burst through the door, 8 feet tall, covered in black armor, weapons charged and ready. They had come for her, assassination during a diplomatic mission. Bold, stupid, and very deadly. Kyle stepped forward, no weapon in his hands, no armor on his body, just a human in a dress uniform standing between 4 trained killers and their target. The lead Corvin laughed, a sound like rocks grinding. "Move, Pinkskin, or die with her." "Third option," Kyle said. His hand moved to his side. Valara saw it then, something she had never noticed in 3 months of marriage. A simple black case attached to his belt, flat, small, unremarkable. His fingers touched a release she couldn't see. The sword appeared. Not appeared. Manifested. Unfolded. Bloomed into existence like a flower made of light and death. The blade stretched 3 feet long, glowing with a blue-white intensity that made her eyes water. Molecular edge. Plasma containment field. Technology her own empire hadn't mastered. The Corvins stopped laughing. Kyle moved. Valara had trained in combat since she could walk. She had fought in the arena. She had killed enemies of the throne. She thought she understood speed, grace, violence. She understood nothing. The first Corvan's head left its shoulders before its weapon finished charging. The second lost both arms in a single horizontal cut. The third managed to fire, but Kyle was already gone. The shot burning empty air while his blade opened the warrior from hip to shoulder. The fourth Corvin ran. Kyle threw the sword. It spun through the air like a wheel of light, splitting the fleeing warrior's spine before returning to his hand like a loyal hound. 5 seconds. 4 dead Corvins. Not a drop of blood on his uniform. Kyle collapsed the blade back into its case. Turned to face her, smiled that same gentle smile she had seen at 100 boring dinners. "You okay?" he asked. Valara stared at the man she had married, the man she had dismissed, the man who had just moved like death incarnate while asking if she needed help. "Who are you?" she whispered. "Your husband," Kyle said. "But before that, I was Orbital Drop Corps Storm Battalion. We don't advertise. More alarms, more footsteps." The Corvins had sent a second wave. Kyle's hand moved back to the case. "Stay close," he said. "This might get interesting." Valara drew her own blade, feeling suddenly inadequate. "Interesting?" "Yeah," Kyle said, and his smile turned sharp. "Now they're bringing friends." The second wave hit like a hammer. 12 Corvins this time, coordinated, professional, learners from their comrades' mistakes. They didn't rush. They spread out through the shuttle bay in tactical formation, energy shields flickering to life, heavy plasma rifles tracking for targets. Kyle assessed the situation in half a heartbeat. "The maintenance shaft behind us. Can you reach it?" Valara's pride flared hot. "I'm not running from a fight." "Good," Kyle said, and the approval in his voice caught her off guard. "Then cover the right flank." "They'll try to surround us. Don't let them." He moved before she could respond, not charging forward like a berserker, but flowing like water around the cargo containers, using cover, making himself impossible to pin down. The sword blazed to life again, and Valara forced herself to focus on her own sector. Two Corvins approached from her right, shields up, firing calculated bursts. She dropped low, rolled behind a supply crate, came up slashing. Her blade scraped against energy shielding. Useless. The Corvins advanced, confident. A plasma bolt burned past her ear. Too close. She needed a new strategy. Her people fought with honor, face to face, blade to blade. These assassins had no honor. They had tactics. Fine. She could adapt. Valara grabbed a maintenance tool from the deck, hurled it at the left Corvin's head. He flinched, shield flickering as it absorbed the impact. Half a second of distraction. She lunged low, blade angled upward, finding the gap between shield projector and armor plating. Purple blood sprayed. The Corvin fell. The second one fired. She twisted, felt heat sear across her shoulder, kept moving, got inside his reach. Her blade found his throat. Two down. She looked for Kyle. Found carnage. He had collapsed 3 Corvins already, moving through their formation like a surgeon with a scalpel. The molecular blade cut through their shields like they were soap bubbles. Every movement efficient, precise, nothing wasted. He didn't fight angry. He fought like mathematics made flesh. A Corvin commander barked orders in their harsh language. The remaining warriors shifted formation, pulling back, creating crossfire lanes. Smart, deadly. They were learning. Kyle, they're setting a trap, Valara shouted. I know, he called back, not even breathing hard. Let them. He sprinted straight into the kill zone. Valera's hearts lurched. Suicide. He was running into concentrated fire from 6 different angles. She screamed his name. Kyle hit the deck sliding, momentum carrying him forward as plasma bolts converged on where he should have been. The sword swept out in a wide arc, not cutting Corvins but slicing through support cables overhead. Cargo netting collapsed, a ton of supplies crashing down on 3 warriors. He rolled to his feet, blade reversing grip, and threw it again. The weapon spun through the air, past one Corvin, past another, until it reached the far wall and sliced through the gravity generator's external housing. The artificial gravity cut out. Everything went weightless. Supplies, weapons, bodies, all floating. The Corvins flailed. Trained for ground combat, confused in 0G, Kyle pushed off a container, sailing through the air with perfect control, catching his returning sword and using the momentum to spin into a devastating horizontal slash that opened 2 warriors in a single motion. Valara kicked off the deck, adapting, her own combat training engaging. Weightless fighting was part of Zorath military doctrine. She had the advantage now. Her blade found a Corvin's spine, then another's chest. Kyle moved through the chaos like he was born in vacuum, redirecting off surfaces, using the Corvin's own mass against them, turning their formation into a floating graveyard. The last Corvin hit the emergency gravity restore. Weight slammed back. Bodies and debris crashed to the deck. The warrior charged Kyle with a vibro-axe, roaring defiance. Kyle sidestepped, let the axe pass within inches, and removed the Corvin's head with a backhand cut that looked almost lazy. Silence fell. 16 dead assassins. Valara and Kyle standing in the wreckage, breathing hard. Storm Battalion? Valara asked, staring at the human she had shared a bed with for 3 months without truly seeing him. Special Operations, Kyle said, collapsing his sword. We handle situations too messy for regular forces. Hostage rescue, counterterrorism, surgical strikes. I retired when we got married. Thought I was done with this. Why didn't you tell me? He met her eyes. Would you have believed me? You already thought humans were weak. Figured I'd show you through actions, not words. Eventually. Valara felt something crack inside her chest. shame, respect, anger at herself for being so blind. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," Kyle said. "You're not wrong about most humans. We are softer than Zorath. We do prefer diplomacy. But when diplomacy fails," he gestured at the bodies, "we remember what we are underneath the smile." The ship's internal calm crackled. "Princess Balara, this is Captain Morris. Are you secure?" "We have Corvin ships approaching." Kyle looked at her, eyebrow raised. "Your call, Princess. Run or fight." Valara smiled, showing teeth. "You're asking me? You're royalty. I'm just the guy you married." She grabbed his hand, felt the calluses she had never noticed before, the strength she had dismissed as weakness. "Then hear my royal command, husband. We fight. And you're going to teach me everything." Kyle's grin was pure predator. "Yes, ma'am." The Corvin assault ship loomed outside the viewport, twice the size of their diplomatic vessel. Weapon ports glowed with charging energy. Valara counted at least 40 gun emplacements, enough firepower to vaporize them in seconds. "They're hailing us," Captain Morris said over the comm, his voice tight with fear. "Demanding we surrender you, Princess, or they'll open fire." Kyle checked his sword's power cell, his expression thoughtful. "How many crew on this ship?" 32, Valara said. "Diplomats, attendants, honor guard, none prepared for a full military engagement. And that assault ship probably has 200 Corvin warriors." Kyle looked at her. "We can't win a straight fight." "Then we don't fight straight," Valara said, her mind racing through tactical options. 3 months of watching Kyle's calm demeanor at negotiations suddenly made sense. He had been studying everyone, learning, preparing for scenarios that might never come. What would Storm Battalion do? Kyle's smile was dangerous. "Change the rules. Captain Morris, tell them we'll surrender in 5 minutes. Need time to prepare the princess for transport." "Kyle, what are you planning?" Balara demanded. "They want you alive. That's leverage." He moved to a wall panel, fingers dancing across the controls. "This diplomatic vessel has an emergency escape system, right? Small pods for VIP evacuation?" "Yes, but they'll shoot down any pod we launch." "They will," Kyle agreed. "Unless we give them a reason not to." He pulled up the ship's systems, highlighting the reactor core. "How much do you trust me?" Balara thought about the last 20 minutes. The carnage, the precision, the complete transformation of the gentleman she thought she knew into something far more lethal. "Completely. Good. Because we're going to fake a reactor breach, launch you in a pod toward their ship, and make them think they've won. While you do what exactly?" Kyle's fingers kept moving, programming sequences she didn't understand. "I'm going to take their assault ship from the inside." Valara stared. "That's insane." "Yeah," Kyle said cheerfully. "That's why it might work. Corvans respect strength, honor, direct confrontation. They'll never expect someone to gift wrap their prize and use it as a delivery system for a one-man assault."
He was right.
It was insane. It violated every principle of Zorath military doctrine. It was also brilliant. "What do you need me to do?" Valara asked. "Survive. Get captured. Don't resist too much or they'll suspect something. Once you're aboard their ship, they'll take you to their commander. That's when things get interesting." He uploaded something to her ceremonial bracelet, the jewelry she wore purely for decoration. "This is now a beacon. When I'm in position, it'll pulse. That's your signal." "Signal for what?" "To start breaking things." Kyle handed her a small cylinder, no bigger than her thumb. "Thermite charge. Disables energy shields in a 10-meter radius. Planted on their primary shield generator when you get the chance." Valara took the device, tucked it into her sleeve. "And then?" Then you remind them why the Zorath Empire doesn't negotiate with terrorists. Kyle moved toward the shuttle bay. I need to prep. Captain Morris, initiate that false reactor breach. Make it look good. The ship shuddered. Alarms wailed. Lights flickered red. Over the comm, Morris broadcast a panic distress signal announcing catastrophic core failure, requesting emergency assistance. The Corvin response was immediate. Launch the princess in an escape pod. We will retrieve her. The rest of your crew may evacuate before your ship explodes. Perfect. They were taking the bait. Kyle led Valara to the pod bay. 30 minutes, he said. That's how long until I reach their command deck. Don't engage until then. How will you even get aboard? He pointed to the cargo airlock where dead Corvins still floated. Their boarding craft is still attached. I'm going to use it as a ride home. They'll assume it's their warriors returning with prisoners. Valara grabbed his arm. Kyle, there are 200 of them. I know. He touched her face, gentle despite the calluses, despite the violence still fresh in the air. I married into the most powerful warrior culture in known space. Can't let you down by dying on our first real adventure together. She kissed him, hard, fierce, tasting blood and determination. Don't you dare die, human. I'm just starting to like you. Yes, ma'am. The pod sealed around her. She felt the launch sequence engage, the brief weightlessness, then the tractor beam from the Corvin ship pulling her in. Through the small viewport she watched her diplomatic vessel drift, pretending to die, while somewhere in its hull her husband prepared to do something impossible. The Corvins brought her aboard with rough efficiency. Weapons trained on her, energy binders locked around her wrists. They marched her through corridors designed for beings twice human size, past weapons lockers and troop quarters, toward the command center. The Corvin commander waited on the bridge, a massive warrior with scars across his face, armor decorated with kill markings. He looked at Valara with something like satisfaction. Princess, he said in accented galactic standard, your empire will pay greatly for your return, and if they refuse, your death will spark a war that we welcome. Valara smiled. You've made a mistake, have I? You assumed my husband was weak. The commander laughed. The human? We killed humans in the war before your people and theirs made peace. Soft creatures who break easily. Some do, Valara agreed. Her bracelet pulsed against her wrist, warm and urgent. The signal. Some don't. Explosion rocked the ship. Not from outside, from within. Valara moved, dropping low, pulling the thermite charge from her sleeve and slapping it against the shield generator before anyone could react. It detonated with white-hot fury, melting circuitry, collapsing the command deck's defensive barriers. Chaos erupted, and somewhere in that chaos, she heard a sound that made her smile. The hum of a molecular blade coming to life. Kyle had arrived. Kyle came through the ventilation shaft like a ghost made of violence. The molecular blade carved through the grating, and he dropped onto the command deck in a crouch, surrounded by 50 Corvin warriors who were still processing the shield failure. He didn't give them time to think. The first 3 went down before anyone raised a weapon. Kyle moved between them like liquid shadow, the glowing blade leaving trails of light and death. A Corvin officer fired, missed, died, screaming as the sword took his legs. Another swung a plasma axe, found only empty air, then found Kyle's blade through his chest. Valara broke her energy binders against a control console, grabbed a fallen rifle, and started firing. The Corvins were trapped between 2 threats now, their formation collapsing into confusion. She dropped 4 warriors in quick succession, her marksmanship training finally useful for something beyond ceremony. Left side, Kyle shouted, not breaking rhythm as he cut down 2 more attackers. Valara spun, saw Corvin reinforcements pouring through the port entrance, and fired into the doorway. Bodies piled up, creating a barrier that slowed the next wave. She grabbed a plasma grenade from a corpse, armed it, threw it into the reinforcements. The explosion turned the corridor into a crematorium. The Corvin commander roared orders, rallying his warriors into defensive positions behind overturned stations. Smart, disciplined, they were learning from their mistakes, using cover, coordinating fire. Kyle vaulted over a railing, landed in their midst, and turned their safe position into a killing floor. The molecular blade hummed through armor, bone, and weapon with equal ease. He fought like a machine. No wasted energy, every movement serving a purpose. But there were too many. Even as bodies fell, more warriors arrived. The command deck was massive, designed to coordinate fleet operations, and Corvins kept flooding in from multiple access points. "We need to end this fast," Valara shouted, firing until her rifle overheated. "Agreed," Kyle said, decapitating a warrior mid-swing. "Can you fly this ship?" "What? Can you pilot this thing? Yes or no?" Valara looked at the helm controls. Corvan design, but similar enough to Zorath systems. Probably. Why? "Because we're leaving." Kyle fought his way to the main tactical console, one hand on his sword, the other accessing controls. "And we're taking their ship with us." The commander finally understood. He charged Kyle directly, a massive warhammer crackling with energy. The weapon came down like judgment, smashing the deck where Kyle had stood a heartbeat before. Kyle rolled, came up slashing, but the commander's personal shield absorbed the blow. Military-grade shielding. Not the cheap equipment his warriors carried. This would be harder. The commander swung again, forcing Kyle back. "You fight well for a human, but you're alone, outnumbered, and you will die here." "Not alone," Kyle said and smiled. Valara shot the commander in the back. The shield flickered but held. The commander spun toward her, furious, and Kyle's blade found the shield generator on his belt. The device sparked, died, and suddenly the commander was just another warrior, just another target. Kyle's sword took him through the heart. The Corvin warriors hesitated, their commander dead, their ship compromised, their perfect ambush turned into a nightmare. Some broke and ran, others fought with desperate fury. Valara reached the helm, shoved the dead pilot aside, and started emergency ignition sequences. "Kyle, I need 2 minutes. You've got 1. He was bleeding now, a plasma burn across his ribs, another on his thigh, but he kept fighting, holding the line between Valara and the remaining warriors. The ship's engines roared to life. Valara's hands flew across controls, overriding safety protocols, pushing the assault ship into maneuvers it wasn't designed for. She aimed for the diplomatic vessel still drifting nearby, pretending to be crippled. "Captain Morris, prepare for emergency docking," she broadcast. "We're coming in hot. Princess, you're in a Corvin assault ship. I'm aware. Just open the damn bay." She slammed the ships together with all the grace of a meteor impact. Docking clamps engaged, airlocks cycled, and suddenly the 2 vessels were connected. "Kyle, we have a way out." He cut down the last warrior in his immediate vicinity, grabbed her hand, and they ran. Behind them, Corvin reinforcements finally organized a proper counterattack, plasma fire chasing them through corridors. An explosion took out the wall to their left. A beam support collapsed, nearly crushing them both. They made it to the airlock, crossed into the diplomatic vessel, and Valara hit the emergency release. The docking clamps disengaged with a shriek of tortured metal. "Morris, get us out of here!" Kyle shouted. The diplomatic ship's engines fired, pulling away from the assault ship. Through the viewport, Valara watched Corvin warriors scrambling on their bridge, trying to regain control, trying to pursue. Kyle limped to the tactical console, his injuries finally slowing him down. "Not yet," he muttered, accessing something on his wrist computer. "Just a little closer." "Closer to what?" Valara demanded. "Remember when I was programming sequences earlier?" Kyle's finger hovered over a button. "I left them a present." He pressed it. The Corvin assault ship's reactor went critical. The explosion lit up space like a newborn star. The shockwave hit their diplomatic vessel, rattling everyone inside, but Morris kept them steady, engines burning at full thrust, putting distance between them and the fireball. Silence fell across the bridge. 32 crew members stared at the destruction, at the two blood-covered figures standing amid the carnage, trying to process what had just happened. Kyle collapsed the molecular blade, winced as adrenaline faded and pain took its place. "Someone should probably look at medical," he said conversationally, then sat down hard on the deck. Valara knelt beside him, examining his wounds. "Not fatal, but serious. You destroyed an entire assault ship." "We destroyed an assault ship," Kyle corrected. "Couldn't have done it without you." "You had a plan from the beginning. Most of one had to improvise some parts." He smiled despite the pain. "That's what Storm Battalion taught me. Plans are great until someone starts shooting. Then you adapt." Captain Morris approached cautiously. "Princess, are you injured?" "I'm fine," Valara said, not taking her eyes off Kyle. "But my husband needs a medical team. Now." As crew rushed to help, as the diplomatic vessel set course for friendly space, Valara held Kyle's hand and thought about the last hour. The violence, the strategy, the absolute trust required to pull off something so reckless. 3 months, she said quietly. "I lived with you for 3 months and saw nothing." Kyle squeezed her hand. "You saw what I wanted you to see, the man I'm trying to be. Peaceful, diplomatic, civilized." He gestured vaguely at the burning wreckage behind them. "That back there? That's who I was. Who I still am when necessary. Thought you deserved better than a killer." "I deserved honesty." "Yeah," Kyle admitted. "You did. I'm sorry." Valara helped him to his feet as medics arrived with equipment. "Don't apologize. Just teach me. Everything you know. Everything Storm Battalion taught you." Kyle looked at her, surprised. "You want to learn human combat doctrine? I want to learn how my husband thinks. How he fights. How he turns impossible situations into victories." She smiled. "Besides, we're married." "That means we're a team. Teams train together." "That's going to be interesting," Kyle said. "Zorith Honor Combat meets human asymmetric warfare." "Terrifying is the word you're looking for." "Yeah," Kyle agreed, smiling despite the pain as medics began treating his injuries. "Terrifying works too. The Zorith Imperial Palace made human architecture look like children's toys." Valara walked through corridors carved from living crystal, each surface reflecting light in patterns that told her people's history. Beside her, Kyle limped slightly, his injuries healing but still tender. They had been summoned by her father, Emperor Drakon, to explain the incident with the Corvins. This would not go well. The throne room doors opened, revealing the full imperial court. 200 nobles in ceremonial armor watching with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt. At the far end, seated on a throne made from the bones of ancient enemies, sat her father. Emperor Drakon was 12 feet tall, his body enhanced with combat augmentation that made him more weapon than warrior. 4 arms, each capable of wielding a different blade. Eyes that glowed with genetic modification. Scars that mapped a lifetime of conquest. He looked at Kyle like an insect. "Daughter?" Drakon's voice resonated through the chamber. You return with tales of Corvin treachery and human heroics. The court is eager to hear how your weak husband somehow survived what should have been a simple assassination. Belara felt Kyle tense beside her, but he said nothing. Waiting, observing, she realized he was doing what he always did, gathering information, finding patterns, preparing for whatever came next. The Corvins sent 20 warriors, Belara said clearly. Kyle killed 16 of them personally. I managed 4. He then infiltrated their assault ship alone, neutralized their commander, and helped me capture the vessel before destroying it. Murmurs rippled through the court, disbelief mostly, some laughter. A noble stepped forward, Lord Carthax, one of her father's chief military advisors. The princess expects us to believe a single human defeated Corvin's shock troops? Absurd. The human probably hid while you fought, Princess. Your honor compels you to protect him, but we see the truth. The truth, Kyle said quietly, is that your intelligence network failed to detect a Corvin death squad aboard a diplomatic vessel. Maybe focus less on insulting me and more on fixing that problem. The court went silent. No one spoke to Lord Carthax like that. No one challenged Zorath nobility directly, especially not a human. Carthax's hand went to his sword. You dare? I dare? Kyle interrupted, his voice still calm, still controlled. Because while you were sitting here playing politics, someone tried to kill your princess. Your intelligence failure almost started a war. So yeah, I dare. Emperor Drakan leaned forward, interested now. You speak boldly for someone who carries no visible weapon, human. Don't need one to speak truth, Your Majesty, but you would need one to back up your words with action. Drakan gestured to Carthax. My advisor feels insulted. Zorath law demands satisfaction. Will you answer his challenge? Kyle looked at Belara. She saw the calculation in his eyes, the tactical assessment happening in real time. He could refuse, walk away, let diplomacy handle this. But that would confirm every belief the court held about human weakness. What are the terms? Kyle asked. First blood, Dracon said. No lethal strikes. You may choose your weapon. I choose my sword. Carthax laughed, a sound like grinding stone. You have no sword, human. I see no blade. Kyle touched the black case at his belt. This good enough? The court cleared a space in the center of the room. Carthax drew his own weapon, a traditional Zorath warblade, 6 feet of folded metal that hummed with ancestral power. The weapon had been in his family for generations, blessed by priests, tested in 100 battles. Kyle activated his molecular blade. The blue-white light cut through the throne room shadows. Gasps echoed from the assembled nobles. They had never seen human military technology up close, never witnessed what Earth's engineers could create when they stopped being diplomatic. Ready when you are, Kyle said. Carthax attacked with textbook Zorath form, powerful overhead strike designed to test defense, followed by a horizontal slash, meant to exploit any opening. Kyle sidestepped both, not even raising his blade, just watching, learning Carthax's rhythm. The noble attacked again, faster, using techniques that had won him tournaments, that had earned him reputation as one of the court's finest duelists. Kyle blocked, parried, gave ground, his blade meeting Carthax's with controlled precision. You fight defensively, Carthax sneered. Afraid to attack? Just being polite, Kyle said. First blood means I only get one strike. Want to make it count. Carthax roared and launched a combination assault, 7 strikes in rapid succession, each one flowing into the next, a display of mastery that drew appreciative murmurs from the watching nobles. Kyle blocked 6 of them. The 7th he caught on his blade and held, locking the weapons together, bringing them face to face. Nice technique, Kyle said conversationally. Zobara style, right? Emphasis on overwhelming offense using strength to break defense. It's effective against opponents who match you strength for strength. He twisted his wrist, disengaged, and struck. The molecular blade moved faster than Carthax could track, faster than most of the court could see. It traced a line across the noble's cheek, drawing a single drop of purple blood. First blood. Kyle stepped back, collapsing his weapon. Match over. Carthax touched his face, staring at the blood on his fingers in disbelief. How? You're strong, Kyle said. But strength isn't everything. Speed, timing, understanding your opponent's patterns. Storm Battalion drilled that into us every day. He looked at Emperor Dracon. Your Majesty, I've answered the challenge. Are we done here? Dracon stood, all 12 feet of him, and walked down from his throne. The court held its breath as the Emperor approached Kyle, looming over him, 4 arms capable of tearing the human apart. You humiliated one of my finest warriors, Dracon said. I won a duel according to your rules. You did. Dracon studied Kyle with new interest. I underestimated you, human. We all did. That was foolish. He turned to address the court. The Corvins attacked my daughter, and this human protected her. He destroyed an assault ship, killed their commander, and survived against impossible odds. Then he came here, stood before us, and proved his worth with blade in hand. Dracon's voice rose. This is the son-in-law I was given. Perhaps the alliance with Earth is more valuable than we knew. The Emperor looked back at Kyle. What else can you teach us, Storm Battalion warrior? Kyle glanced at Valera, who nodded encouragement. Your tactics are honorable, Kyle said carefully. But honor gets people killed when they face enemies who don't fight fair. The Corvins didn't attack you in open battle. They sent assassins. You need to adapt. Adapt how? Let me train a unit. Small team, special operations, methods that complement your existing military. You keep your honor warriors for the battlefield. But when you need someone to handle the dirty work, the impossible missions, the situations where honor won't save you, Kyle met Dracon's eyes. That's what I can teach. Dracon considered this, 4 hands drumming against his armored thighs. Finally, he nodded. You will train 10 warriors, hand-picked. If they survive your methods and prove effective, we expand the program. Thank you, Your Majesty. Don't thank me yet, Dracon said. You'll be training my personal guard, elite warriors who have protected the throne for decades. If you fail, if your human methods prove worthless, the shame falls on you and your planet. Understood. As the court dismissed, Valera took Kyle's arm, leading him from the throne room. Once they were alone in the corridor, she exhaled hard. That was risky, she said. Everything worth doing is risky. Kyle winced, his injuries protesting the duel. Besides, your father's right. The galaxy is changing. The Corvins won't be the last ones to try something like this. Better to prepare now than scramble later. Valara kissed him, right there in the hallway where any servant might see. I married you for politics. Now I'm keeping you for entirely different reasons. Kyle smiled. Yeah? What reasons? But watching you fight makes the decision easier. Good to know violence is the way to your heart. Violence with purpose, Valara corrected. Violence with intelligence behind it. That's what makes you different. She paused. When do we start training? We? You think I'm letting you train the palace guard without me? I want to learn everything, remember? Kyle laughed, then winced again as the movement hurt. Fair enough. We start tomorrow. Right now, I need medical attention and about 12 hours of sleep. Medical attention first, Valara agreed. Sleep later. And Kyle? Yeah? Thank you for not dying. Any time, Princess. Any time. The training grounds looked like a war zone. Valara watched 10 of the Zorath Empire's finest warriors lying in the dirt, gasping for air, covered in bruises and training paint that marked simulated kills. Kyle stood over them, barely winded. His molecular blade collapsed at his side. Again, he said. Lord Veyron, leader of the Emperor's personal guard, struggled to his feet. This is the 5th time. We know your tricks now. Then stop falling for them. Kyle gestured to the course. You're bigger, stronger, better equipped. 10 against 1. Should be easy. It wasn't easy. It was never easy. Valara had been training with them for 2 weeks now, learning Kyle's methods, understanding how humans fought when strength wasn't an option, deception, misdirection, using the environment, exploiting expectations, everything Zorath doctrine considered dishonorable, everything that kept you alive. The warriors spread out, trying a new formation, attempting to corner Kyle through coordination rather than brute force. Better. They were learning. Kyle let them think they had him trapped, then disappeared into a smoke grenade, reappeared behind their line, and marked 3 of them before they could react. Dead! 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 He announced cheerfully. And Veyron, you left your flank open again. There was no flank. You came through solid smoke.
Exactly!
You assumed smoke meant safety. Never assume. Kyle helped Veyron up. Look, you're all incredible warriors. One-on-one, honorable combat, you'd destroy most opponents. But the galaxy doesn't fight fair anymore. The Corvins proved that. Valara stepped forward. He's right. I fought beside him against the Death Squad. Everything I knew about combat, every technique I'd mastered, it meant nothing until I started thinking like he does.
And how does he think? Veyron asked, frustrated.
Like the enemy is smarter, better prepared, and has every advantage, Valara said. So you take away their advantages, make them fight your fight, not theirs. An alarm cut through the training ground. Emergency frequency. Palace security. Kyle's expression changed instantly. The instructor vanishing, the soldier emerging. What is it? Multiple breaches. The security channel crackled. North wing, east wing, underground access, unidentified hostiles, at least 30 contacts. They're heading for the throne room. Emperor Dracon's voice overrode the channel. All units converge on my position. Where is my guard? Veyron activated his comm. Training grounds, Your Majesty. We're en route. Negative. You're too far. I'll hold until weapons fire, explosions. The channel went dead. Kyle was already moving, sprinting toward the palace, his sword activating mid-run. The 10 warriors followed, Valara beside them, her own blade drawn. 2 weeks ago, they would have charged in formation, proud and loud. Now they moved like Kyle taught them, using cover, staying quiet, approaching from angles that gave them advantage. They reached the throne room to find chaos. 50 attackers in black armor, no identifying marks, moving with professional precision. The Emperor's regular guards were falling back, outnumbered, trying to protect Drakon as he fought with all 4 arms, each wielding a different weapon, cutting through enemies like a force of nature. But even he couldn't hold forever. Veyron, take your team left, Kyle ordered. Hit their flank, break their formation. Valara, you're with me. We go through the middle. That's suicide, Veyron protested. It's a distraction. They'll focus on us. Give you the opening. Now move. Kyle didn't wait for acknowledgement. He charged into the throne room, Valara matching his pace, and the black-armored warriors turned their weapons toward the new threat. They learned their mistake too late. Kyle moved through them like a ghost, the molecular blade singing its deadly song. Valara fought beside him, using every technique he'd taught her, abandoning the rigid honor forms for something fluid, adaptive, lethal. They weren't trying to win through strength. They were creating chaos, forcing the enemy to react instead of act. Veyron's team hit the exposed flank perfectly, their new training evident in every coordinated strike. No glory-seeking, no individual heroics, just efficient teamwork that collapsed the enemy's right side. The attackers tried to rally, but they were fighting on 3 fronts now, their numerical advantage meaningless against opponents who refused to play by expected rules. Kyle reached the enemy commander, a massive figure wielding twin energy blades. They clashed in a fury of light and sparks, neither giving ground. The commander was skilled, trained, dangerous. Kyle was better. The molecular blade found gaps in the armor, precise strikes that disabled rather than killed. Because they needed prisoners, needed answers about who sent them. The commander fell, both arms useless, and Kyle's blade was at his throat. "Who sent you?" Kyle demanded. "Silence. I can make this hurt," Kyle said quietly. "Or you can talk and live. Choose fast." The commander laughed through his helmet. "You've already lost, human." This was just the opening move. He bit down on something. Poison capsule. Dead before Kyle could stop him. The remaining attackers did the same, choosing death over capture. Within seconds, every hostile in the throne room was gone, leaving only bodies and questions. Emperor Draken approached Kyle, bleeding from a dozen wounds, but still standing. "You saved my life." "Your guard did most of the work," Kyle said. "I just showed them how." "No." Drakon looked at the 10 warriors, at Valara, at Kyle. "You changed how they think. 2 weeks ago they would have charged directly, fought with honor, and died bravely. Today they fought smart and lived." He placed one massive hand on Kyle's shoulder. "The program expands. I want 100 warriors trained in your methods. Then 1,000. That's a lot of teachers you'll need. Then train teachers. Build something that outlasts you." Drakon's eyes glowed with fierce approval. "The galaxy is changing, and Zorath will change with it. Because of you." Later, as medical teams treated the wounded and security swept the palace for remaining threats, Valara found Kyle on a balcony overlooking the capital. He stood quietly, watching the city lights, the molecular blade case resting at his belt. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "That I retired for a reason," Kyle said. "Wanted peace. Wanted a normal life. But the universe keeps finding me." "Do you regret it? Marrying me, coming here, getting pulled back into all this?" He turned to face her, smiled that gentle smile she'd first seen 3 months ago. "Not even a little." "You? I regret underestimating you, wasting 3 months when I could have been learning from you. We've got time now." Valara moved closer, took his hand. "They're going to keep coming. Whoever sent those attackers, they won't stop. This is just the beginning." "I know. And you're still staying?" Kyle squeezed her hand. "I married you for politics, too, initially. Alliance between Earth and Zorath. Cementing peace. All that diplomatic nonsense. But somewhere between the Corvin attack and training your father's guard, I realized something." He pulled her close. "I'm not staying for politics anymore. I'm staying because I want to, because you're worth staying for." Valara kissed him, tasting blood and smoke and the future they were building together. "Good answer. I have my moments." They stood together as night fell over the Zorath capital. 2 warriors from different worlds, bound by marriage and forged by battle into something neither had expected. Behind them, the palace hummed with activity, security protocols being rewritten, training programs being planned, an empire adapting to new threats with new methods, and at the center of it all a human who had come seeking peace but found purpose instead, teaching an ancient warrior culture that sometimes the best way to fight was to stop fighting like everyone expected. The molecular blade at his belt gleamed in the starlight, a reminder that gentle men could be dangerous when necessary, that strength came in forms beyond muscles and armor, and that the human who smiled at boring dinners could also save empires when the situation demanded it. Valara had married a diplomat and discovered a warrior,